Okay, you made it to the fifth and final module of email domination deliverability demystified. Let's land this plane, bring it home strong, and let's talk about how to get out of spam. So before we can get out of spam, I think it's pretty important to know what actually causes emails to go to spam. That would probably be a good place to start. Now, in most cases, it is going to be one of two things. Either there is an error with your SPF, DKIM, and DMARC records. Remember those? The things that I spent like 20 minutes explaining with that analogy? Pretty proud of that one. So this is where they come into play. That's why I spent so long explaining it, because now all of a sudden they become important in terms of when we're dealing with getting out of spam. Okay, so most of the time this won't really matter until we get to spam, and then they matter a lot. That's why I took so long to explain it, all right? So that's the first problem. The second thing, it could be that your open rates are consistently below 10%. So if your emails suck literally so bad that no one's opening and reading, that Gmail doesn't even deem you worthy of the promotions tab. It's gone, you suck so bad, you're not even good enough for promotions. I'm gonna straight up put you in spam, okay? So yeah, either you have a problem with your records or your emails are just shit, okay? And your open rates are below 10% consistently. That's probably why you're in spam. So in terms of how to actually identify which of these two it is, there are a few tests that we're gonna run. So here's how to identify the actual root cause of what's causing your emails to go to spam. First things first, always test. Send a test email to yourself, to your 2 test Gmail accounts, and that will give you some insights into the problem. Okay, so firstly, we want to see where they land, and we want to use your active test account to check, one, the label. So is it also going to promotions? That might be a part of it. And then we also want to look and check out the SPF, DKIM, and DMARC records. I'm actually going to add a third one here, which is spam trigger words. There are some certain words and phrases that just typically a lot of scammers use, like, hey, I'm a Nigerian prince and I will be released from jail if you can simply wire me $5,000 and I promise I'll give you $12 million back for the next 30 days. Okay, so there's some commonly used words which they're going to be picked up by the Gmail algorithm and they'll probably just throw you straight in spam. Okay, even if everything else is set up correctly. Okay, so you still got to be careful. Going back to the Bitcoin example I gave in the last one, right? If I said it with capital letters, all red text, giant font, like that's a pretty common spam trigger as well. And even if your domain reputation, everything was good, you're still dicing with death there. You're testing Gmail and hope it doesn't have a bad day, or probably will send you to spam for those kind of spammy practices, okay? If you look, again, goes back to the principle, if it looks like junk mail, it is junk mail, right? If it looks like a scammy email, it's probably going to wind up in spam. So just don't write emails like the ones that are in your spam folder. So oxygen masks on, everyone. We're going to dive into the dirty, disgusting, barren wasteland that is my spam folder. Here it is in all its glory. So I've pulled up a few random emails here. We're just going to look at this one. Outdoor furniture sale. It's from this furniture company. I don't really remember even subscribing to the list. Maybe that's why they're in spam, because I've never opened any of their emails. That could be it. So we can look around at the email and maybe let's suss out why this might be going to spam. So firstly, the sender seems pretty legit, info@scandista.com. Now see here, it's via something. It's via Klaviyo. So it's sent via Klaviyo. If it's saying via, it may mean it's using Klaviyo's DKIM records rather than its own DKIM. So it hasn't set up their own DKIM records yet, which is not a problem. That's fine. Like my emails still are sent via ActiveCampaign. Up until a few days ago where I bothered to actually move the DKIM over to my own domain. So maybe it's something to do with the records. So if you go show original, that's how you do it. You go dots, show original. You can see here, it is actually passing SPF. It is passing DKIM. It doesn't show DMARC, so we don't know. They may have just not bothered to set DMARC up, which again, that shouldn't be enough to cause it to go to spam. So my guess is if we go here, look at the labels. Indeed, we see there, they're also going to promotions. So they are double fucked. So basically, if this email wasn't in spam, it would be in promotions. So my guess is the reason that these guys are in spam is because their open rates are so low that their subscriber base is probably so unengaged. The subscribers probably only subscribe to this list because they were interested in one particular item and they don't really care about this company. They don't really ever click or read their emails. It's why it's important to establish some sort of a relationship with subscribers and make them look forward to your emails and actually want to read, rather than all your emails just being like, hey, here's a 10% coupon. See you later. Right? Again, it could also be this spammy, triggery type language, your chance to win, right? With every purchase, you'll win one free entry into a win a luxurious folding sun lounge. So that type of language, again, as it says here, why is this message in spam? It's similar to messages that were identified as spam in the past. So it could either be their open rates are shocking, which doesn't surprise me if their emails are going to promotions. That's a sign. It also could be the type of language that they're using here. It's very promotional, scammy looking. You just won, right? If you look at most of the emails in spam, most of them are just like, you just won $10,000. Or it's like, these Swedish models want to have sex with you tonight, right? That's pretty much the main two things. Or it's something to do with crypto, right? Usually, but it's a lot of get rich quick stuff, right? So this one here, for example, Royal Bank of Canada. If you look at this one, oh, look at that. Yeah, I just conveniently just won $12 million. All I have to do is probably reply with that. And I'm sure Royal Bank of Canada uses fucking royalbank568 at gmail.com. I'm sure a multi-billion company definitely uses that email. It seems legit, right? So again, just one-on-one sign that it went to spam. Look how spammy that email looks, right? It was sent from jj6404 173 at gmail.com. Not really a legit sounding email, right? It's similar to messages that were identified in spam in the past, right? It's just full of spam trigger words. It's also, I'm in the BCC. For fuck's sake, guys, like, goddamn, if you're going to send emails like that, at least do it properly, right? Like, it says they sent this to tons of people and just slap them in the BCC field of Gmail, right? Yeah, not going to fly. So their records may well be fine. Actually, they should be, because if you go show original, you see they actually passed all three. But I'm willing to bet the only reason they passed is because they sent this from a Gmail account, right? It wasn't sent from a company. It was sent from a Gmail account, and they stuffed a bunch of people in the BCC field, right? So there you go. Also, yeah, there's no promotions tag. So if this wasn't in spam, it would have gone to my primary. That's what that means. Cool. So that's the kind of stuff you want to look for when you're trying to identify the root cause. The second one is, again, we want to check Google Postmaster, just like we did last time, to see what is your domain reputation, what's your IP reputation, what's your spam rate. If those things are not high, or if it's well above 0.1%, if 1 out of every 1,000 people you email marks your emails as spam, that's okay. But more than 1 out of every 1,000, which would be 0.1%, then we might start to have a problem. So that's something to look into as well. And you can maybe get a sense of, is it my domain reputation? Is it my IP reputation? I need to switch ESPs or ask them for a new IP address. Or it's just my spam rate. Too many people are marking my emails as spam. Maybe it's because maybe I added them to a list and they didn't realize how they got on my list. There's a lot of reasons people might be marking you as spam, but that should be a bit of a wake-up call as to like, oh, maybe when I opted in, I should make it more clear that I'm going to send them emails, or I'm going to send the download to their email so they actually check their emails. So that'll give you some clues as well. And you can also use additional tools like MailGenius, MX Toolbox to check for red flags and blacklists. MailGenius, again, that was recently, I believe, acquired by Troy Erickson. Pretty cool. He has his own SaaS software now. And this will help you look at any kind of red flags. If you've been added to any major blacklists, that's another big thing. There are, I think, either 7 or 8 major blacklists that actually matter. If your domain winds up somehow on any of those blacklists, that could be a massive problem, and that could be causing your emails to go to spam as well. So that's actually also worth adding, is you could be domain is blacklisted, which means no matter what you do, as long as you're on that blacklist, there is no hope. But oftentimes you can actually email the blacklist and you can actually say, hey, I'm following best practices and I don't know why I'm on this blacklist. Can you please remove me? And you can ask them politely and they may well remove you if you are following best practices, okay? So keep that in mind as well. Cool. So once you have an idea what's causing you to go to spam, well, now we can go about trying to fix it. So here is how to get out of spam 101. There is essentially 2 steps. Okay, nice and simple. So the first thing is we want to solve the promo tab problem first. So we want to follow all the above steps that we just went over to solve that problem first. So that way, rather than having 2 problems and being double fucked, like these guys over here, which were this furniture company, it was in promotions and also in spam. That's 2 separate problems that you got to deal with. So to solve the promotions tab problem, like we just mentioned, by removing the inactive subscribers that haven't opened an email over 60 days, only sending to people who are opening, change that cutoff to more recent openers. The wording, again, change, do the extra text hack or whatever you want to call it, the PS or the footer text to try and get that promotional percentage down, because pretty much this whole email is just promotional language, right? So definitely that extra text hack will probably help a lot. But you want to do whatever you can to solve the promotional tab problem first. This would mean we want to get to the point like Mr. Royal Bank of Canada over here, where besides being a complete scammer, right? That's a small detail. At least he wasn't going to promotions. So you can see, if we look at here, there's nothing ticked. Promotions isn't ticked, meaning this would have gone to primary. So that's the first problem we want to fix. We want to get to a point where at least we can check this and good to know. We might still be in spam, but at least we're not also going to promotions. That's problem 1 out of 2 solved. Now we just need to solve the spam problem and then we'll be free and we will be in the primary inbox. So the reason we start with this one first is because some emails will slip through the spam filter and they'll just go straight to the person's inbox. So if we've at least got them out of promo, well, at least now they're going to primary. And so that's going to increase our overall open rates for those emails which are slipping through spam and going to people's primary. And getting out of spam, just like getting out of promo, it's all about increasing those open rates. If we can show Gmail, we can prove to Gmail and Yahoo and Outlook and Hotmail and all these email clients that we are a good egg. We're one of the good guys. People actually care about us. They open and read our emails. That we need to prove to Gmail that people care about receiving and opening our emails. And the way that they view that is by having high open rates. So that's your guiding light, your North Star. How do we get high open rates? All right, so we solve the promo tab problem first. And then the second thing we need to do is undergo a treatment period for about 1 to 6 weeks. Depending how bad the problem is, how long it's been going on, it could take longer or it could actually be quite a quick fix. You don't know until you do it. So the way we do this is we're going to segment the list until we're getting a minimum of 20 to 30% open rates, really high open rates, okay? By adjusting the open history cutoff. Now let me explain. Here's the key thing you need to remember is your open rates, believe it or not, are 100% in your control. That's right. You can actually control your open rates. Let me explain. So imagine you had a list of just 5 people, you and your 4 test accounts, right? You could open every email that you send from all your own Gmail accounts and congratulations, you've got a 100% open rate, right? Now, of course, you're not going to make any money doing that and there's no real point, but in Gmail's eyes, you have a 100% open rate and that's all that matters to them. Likewise, you could also have a list of 1 million people, but they're pretty bad quality, low quality emails, and you only get a 5% open rate, right? Now, granted, that's still 50,000 people viewing the email. You can still make a crap ton of money from that, but you'll probably be in the spam folder because you have such a low open rate, right? Now, here's the thing. Again, Gmail doesn't discriminate on list size, right? Size does not matter to Gmail. They only care about your open rates. So they don't care if you're emailing 5 people or 5 million people. It only looks at what percentage of the total people who you sent to opened the email. That's like the number one thing they look at. And I don't care if it was 5 people or 5 million. So we can game the system in this way by adjusting the open history cutoff to essentially control our open rates. Okay, because again, there's some people who will open all your emails no matter what. They maybe whitelisted you, they added you to a folder because they love your emails, and they read every single one. And there's some people who they'll only read the ones which grab their attention. There's some people who never read any of the emails. And there's some people who just, maybe they went away on holiday for a few weeks and didn't read anyone's emails. So by adjusting the open history cutoff, we can essentially control who we're sending it to. And if we only email people who pretty much have opened our emails very recently, like in the last few days, then they're very likely to open emails from us in the near future. That's the psychology behind this. So here is the treatment prescribed to you by Dr. Joel Marion. Not doctor, but he may as well be. So email doctor, we could call him. By the way, I paid a metric fuck ton of money to learn this at a very high level mastermind from Joel. So you're welcome. So for a period of 1 to 6 weeks, we need to average a very high, like I said, ideally 30% open rate, and also a very high, ideally 10 to 20% click-through rate. Now again, remember, click-through rate is not the same as click rate. Click rate is like the percentage of the total people you sent to that clicked. So that number is normally like 1 to 2%. Click-through rate is opens to clicks. Okay, now some ESPs quote it differently. ActiveCampaign usually gives you clicks. Some ESPs will report it as a CTR, click-through rate. That just means what percentage of people who opened clicked as well. So we want this to be like really high, like 10 to 20% of people who open also click. Now you might seem like, shit, those are really high numbers. How are we possibly gonna hit numbers like that? Especially if we're in spam, right? And it's gonna be tough. I didn't say this would be easy, but you're a tough egg and you're up for the challenge and I'm gonna show you how to do it. So the way that we do this is by segmenting our list to only email 14-day openers, right? Or whatever cutoff gets you to that 30%. So remember how I could say we can actually play with our, our open rate? We can adjust this open history cutoff. Well, we want to adjust it to start off to be 14-day openers. And you can do that very simple. Just create a segment in ActiveCampaign. You would go contacts, event. Let me just show you. Right, so here in ActiveCampaign, I've got all my contacts loaded up over here on the left in the contacts tab. I'm going to go over here to search contacts, advanced search. Then I will say select a condition, actions, has opened, campaign, any campaign, which means any email I've sent them in the last, and we would change this to be 14 days. And then you would go search. And then it's going to bring up every person who's opened an email from me in the last 14 days. And then what we're going to do is just save that as a segment, and you can add everyone to a specific list. You could call it 14-day openers. You could tag them with 14-day opens. There's a few different ways you could do it. I recommend just make a list, add them all to that list of 14-day openers. It's currently sorting to 36,000 people, so give it a little bit of time. I'm impatient, and I'm also hosting a Halloween party starting in 19 minutes, so I am just going to skip over this. But essentially, once it loads, you would just go save as segment right there, boom, and then call it whatever you want, 14-day openers. All right, there you go, it's loaded. So 8,000 people have opened an email for me in the last 2 weeks. Very nice. So I would simply go wherever it was before, save it as a segment, and then actually you just go edit. Yeah, you just go edit all, add to a list, make a new list. You'd have to go to lists first, create the list, then come back, add to list, boom, 14-day openers, add a tag, 14-day opens, apply. And then that's how you segment the list. Okay, very simple. Now, during this 14-day period, like I mentioned, we need to get really high opens and really high clicks. And so the way that we do that is we want to focus on sending very short reply-based and get the click, or GTC, emails. So either very benefit-rich copy. So for example, copy, paste, and send this exact email to 10 prospects right now, and you'll have a call booked tonight, guaranteed. Right? Now, it's obviously quite a bombacious claim. If you can actually live up to that, then amazing. You have a hell of a product, which pretty much sells itself. But as close as you can get to like an insane offer without bullshitting people, that's like very benefit rich, right? It's basically like copy, paste this email, send it to 10 people, and immediately book a call and sign a client. That's going to get a lot of clicks. Very low effort, and it's very high reward. Okay. So that's one way you could do it. You could also have very curiosity heavy copy. So, hey, between you and me, this line of code made my client $5.6 million last year. I've never shared it publicly, so you have to promise to keep it a secret. It'll be available here for the next 24 hours. Boom. You're like, holy shit, what's this secret magic code? Made your client $5 million, and it's only here for the next 24 hours. Like I only have 24 hours to get it. You'll get a lot of clicks as well. Okay. So either very curiosity heavy or very benefit rich to get the click rate nice and high. And obviously very curiosity invoking subject lines as well to actually get people to open. Now, after 1 to 6 weeks of sustaining high open rates, and if you're only setting to 14-day openers, again, these people, even if you're in spam, have somehow, for some reason, been opening your emails anyway. So it'll probably be a very low number of people. But again, the number doesn't really matter. It might only be like 20 people in this segment because you've been going to spam. So Gmail doesn't discriminate though. So as long as you can get that open rate to 20% minimum, ideally 30%, and you're getting lots of clicks and replies and so on, then you're sweet. Okay. And again, you could do reply-based emails as well. So, hey, I just finished a new training on how to X, reply back and I'll send you a free copy. That sort of stuff. And you'll get a lot of replies to that. Cool. So after 1 to 6 weeks of sustaining high open rates and clicks, your domain reputation should now be at high. So I would be checking Google Postmaster every day, checking on your reputation, seeing how it's going, and hopefully it should be going up as you are sending to only these 14-day openers and you're getting lots of opens and clicks and replies. Those are all positive signals to Gmail that people want to hear from you, okay? Like I said, this could take a few days, it could take 6 weeks, depending on how severe the problem is. So once your domain reputation is high, the thing you don't want to do is just immediately start sending to everyone again, okay? Because then you might just be thrown straight back into spam jail. So slowly, keyword slowly, open up the open history cutoff. So rather than going from 14-day openers back straight to everyone, after those, however long, 1 to 6 weeks, your domain reputation's high, cool. Now open it up a little bit. So open it up to 21 days and send to 21-day openers for 2 weeks. Then after 2 weeks, then send to the 30-day openers for another 2 weeks, and then open it up to 45-day openers, and then finally 60-day openers And again, there's no point opening it past 60 days if you're sending daily, as like I mentioned before, those people are only hurting your deliverability, right? No one is going to wake up on day 61 and go, holy shit, Sean Ferris's emails, I need to open and read them. If they haven't opened for 2 freaking months, they're not going to magically open on day 61, okay? And this is a direct quote from Joel Marion. This dude has sent more emails than probably anyone on the planet, right? He's worth like $500 million. He knows what the fuck he's doing. So just take Joel's advice, right? 60 days, that's the number. Now, another note here. I know I said 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks. You don't actually have to wait 2 weeks if you're still getting over 20% open rates. So maybe you've opened up the cutoff to 21 days and your open rates are still nice and high, over 20%. That's like the benchmark, the magic number. Then maybe rather than waiting the full 2 weeks, just wait a few days and then open it up again to 30 days. And if they're still high, then a few days later, you can open up again to 45. So you don't need to wait the full 2 weeks if you're still getting high open rates over 20%, okay? Now, what about the rest of your list? Because here's the thing, right? If we're only sending to these 14-day openers and that took 6 weeks and then 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks, by the time we're sending to these 60-day openers, the automation who kicks everyone off, if they haven't opened for 60 days, would have booted everyone off your whole list by now because you haven't even given them a chance to open an email because you haven't sent them a single email for like 3 months, right? Because we've only been emailing these 14-day openers. So what's the workaround for that, right? How do you avoid losing your entire list? Well, during this phase, you want to send to your entire list, okay, including the inactive people, once a week. So including all of these 30-day openers, 45-day, 60-day openers, etc. Even the inactive people who have been like booted off the 60-day list, once a week, and just make it your absolute best email. The best subject line, the best click-through rate, the one that's likely to get the most engagement, the most interest, the most opens, clicks, and replies, your absolute best email to everyone once a week. So that way you give them a chance to at least rejoin your active list during this time. Only after your domain reputation is high. So only after this 14-day period is done, during this part here, you can once a week send to these guys, okay? Clear distinction. Now, once the cutoff reaches 60 days, right? Once you're basically back up, the treatment period is over, and you're sending to everyone normally again, then you can send a revival or a re-engagement email to everyone on the inactive list. So everyone who hasn't opened an email in over 60 days with just a short personal subject line. So for example, hey, it could be just their first name. It could be test. It could be remember me. It could be shipping, free shipping. That gets a lot of opens. People think it's like, did I order something? Wait, what's the deal there? Right? Maybe with or without the screen mask and the stabbing part, but that's the general idea. It's like, hey, remember me? You sign up to my list, right? Open, you motherfucker, I'm going to stab you. Don't do that. So restate who you are, right? Very simple email. All the email just has to do, I like to think of it as like your welcome email. So simply restate who you are, why they're on your list, how they got on your list, why they joined, why they should care, what to expect moving forward, and then just give them a cool freebie. Give them and by the way, here's a cool free training. You might find this helpful. Boom, link. Or even better, ask them to reply to get the free training. You can say, hey, just filmed a new training on this copy-paste script you can use to land your next high-paying copywriting client. It's been super effective for everyone who's tried it so far. If you want a free copy before it goes mass market, just reply with the word cheat sheet and I'll send it over, no strings attached. Right? And you're going to get a shitload of replies to that email, or at least a high percentage of replies, which is great. That's all positive engagement. It's all positive signals to the Gmail algorithm that people want to hear from you. Okay? We're aiming to maximize opens, clicks, and replies. So that's a little bonus pro hack that you could try. Now, some things you could try to accelerate your freedom from spam jail during this treatment period is the following. So sometimes, I don't know why this works. I guess because it seems like it's not a spammy email. You could try sending an email with the subject line test, okay? This for some reason just usually escapes spam, and you can spin this in the email however you want, right? So you can get clever and creative with it to tie the subject line into the email. But generally the gist is just like, hey, we had some email problems. I'm just testing to see if you got this. Can you do me a favor? Like, if you're alive, if you're reading this, please just reply with got it to let me know you got it. And I'll even swing you a free bonus gift to say thank you. Right? And again, we just want to get a lot of replies. Okay, that's the ideal. So that one just sometimes just completely skips the spam folder. It's like you get out of jail free card. So try that. And again, if the welcome email is going to spam, that's probably the most important email you'll ever send. Like your welcome email should have like well over 50%, like 80% open rates. Okay, because it's usually the email where you give people the free thing they signed up for. So if that one is going to spam, there's really no hope. So change that one to the test email to see if that gets you out of spam. You can say, hey, just testing to make sure you got this. Here's the thing you signed up for, right? And again, if the welcome email goes to primary, the rest of your emails are more likely to follow suit. And really, just during this period, you want to do anything you can to get more opens, clicks, and replies, like I've said. So curiosity-evoking, benefit-rich subject lines, like this sort of stuff, typically gets a lot of opens. Some of my highest open subject lines of all time have been ones like this. They've also been stuff like scam or refund or scandalous sounding stuff like that. People love drama, right? Ask questions to get replies. Sounds very straightforward. And it is. Just if you ask people questions, they will reply, right? Or reply, even better, reply for a free training. That gets tons of replies because people want free stuff. Again, if you're not doing coaching stuff, it could be reply for a discount coupon or reply for something free and valuable. Optimize call to action to increase clicks. So Sam and Tyler talked in email domination about the 3 elements of an optimized CTA versus a normal CTA. Of course, you want to keep doing that stuff. Blank preview text. I think I've talked about this historically, but if you look at my emails here in the inbox, you'll see how everyone else has this preview text, which just goes on and on and on. And again, it's copy trying to get you to open the email and work with the subject line. But sometimes the best preview text, in my opinion, is just no preview text. Because you can see how my emails, because it has literally nothing there, it's blank, it stands out in the inbox. And likewise down here as well. He predicted the AI 60 years ago. Blank helps draw attention to it. So another one, profile picture that stands out or flashes. Now this isn't really applicable on desktop, unfortunately, but especially on mobile, people have pictures, right? Profile pictures. And most people don't bother to set anything and they just simply have like a letter or something like that. So you can see how like most of these here in my folder, it's just like a letter. No one really has pictures. You can actually set a profile picture, very basic, just in your Gmail settings. And so few people do it. And so when you do, it stands out a lot. You can see my friend Matt Lepre there with the hat, stands out quite a lot, right? And even better, you could take this above and beyond. I first got this idea from Troy Erickson because I just noticed he had done it in my inbox. And if you look there, right, you can see like my emails, if you open them on mobile, let's see if I can go back a little bit, they actually flash. See how mine's actually like flashing, it's going boop, boop. All I did was I just went into settings and set up a GIF, right? There's no training for that or anything. You just use your brain a little bit and think to yourself, how can I stand out more? You'll get more opens, right? Cool. The biggest thing here is just be patient, right? Like it can take up to 3 months to get your domain reputation to high, right? So be patient and keep sending. I can't stress that enough. The worst thing you can do is to stop sending. This will cause your domain to go cold and you'll have to warm it all up again from scratch. So that's actually the worst thing you can do, right? And if you haven't sent out an email in a long time, often you'll find that people who send very infrequently, like once a week or less, once a month or something like that, they typically will almost always go to promotions or spam because the domain's so cold because they never send any emails. It's like buying a brand new domain and immediately start sending cold emails. You're going to go to spam because your domain's stone cold. It's not warmed up, right? You need to warm it up. And if you use it frequently, you don't need to worry about warming it up because it already is warm. So if you haven't sent in an email in a long time, like over 2 weeks, which is considered a long time, then you'll likely need to warm your domain up again. So you can use a cold email warm-up tool like Instantly for this. And we'll talk about Instantly in module 5 of CMB. So if your client like haven't sent an email in ages, I'd recommend they set up Instantly, warm up their domain. If they haven't used their domain to send any kind of emails like customer support or business stuff, then warm it up and then send that same like revival or re-engagement email to start. So from there, if you've tried all of this with no success, then you really have only 2 options. The first option is politely and nicely ask your ESP for a new IP address. Just email ActiveCampaign or whoever you use. Basically explain you're one of the good guys. I've tried everything. I've followed the best practices. I'm trying to do my best here. I've set up all the records and stuff. I'm not sending to non-openers. I'm trying to do a good thing here, right? And I've tried all the best practices. I have good list hygiene. Can you help me out here? Can you potentially put me on a new IP address? And that might help you, okay? Often they might be just willing to help you out and put you on a new domain. You guys have got to remember, they are a business as well. All right? They want you to keep using them, so you keep paying them every month. So it's in their best interest to help you with this stuff. So you can talk to them, see if there's anything you can do. Cool? And explain you've tried everything first. Now, second option, last ditch resort, is just make a new domain and start again from scratch, right? Now, this kind of sucks. You might not want to, but it's not really the end of the world, right? If I have been sending historically from SeanFerris.com, and for whatever reason, my domain got absolutely fucked, it got blacklisted or whatever happened, right? I could just make a new domain that's like SeanFerrisCoaching.com or SeanFerrisCopy.com. No one really notice nor care. They still know it's me The email style is still the same. Everything else is still the same. It's just the domain's different. And then you can warm that one up with instantly. And then you would essentially restart the treatment period, starting with those 14-day openers, and then slowly open the window up like we talked about before. Just resend the welcome email, remind them why they're on the list, what to expect moving forward. And again, the call to action to apply for a cool freebie. So it's that like re-engagement email. And then open up the cutoff slowly as per the treatment period protocol. So worst comes to worst, just buy a new domain, start again. It's really not actually that bad. And that would be like a much faster fix, should you need to do that. Unless you're really attached to your domain because you have acquisition.com or university.com. So Andrew Tate recently bought university.com. That's a pretty OG domain. So you probably want to keep one like that if it was like really valuable, right? That's the only exception. So final piece here is just remember, prevention is the best cure. By far. Okay, so rather than having to fix this problem, as you can see, it's quite a pain in the ass to do all this stuff. You'd rather just not wind up in spam to begin with, right? Like they say, an ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure, or whatever the fuck the saying is, right? So to prevent going to promo and going to spam in the first place, it's best to keep some of these practices in mind. So first, on your actual opt-in page, your landing page where people subscribe and enter their email, you want to use tools and software like NeverBounce or Xverify on that opt-in page to prevent fake and spammy emails to begin with. And there's certain code that you can use as well to format their first names and phone numbers. We can get into that in a later video. If you're in resistance, then we have a training about that. Second, you can set up that automation and remove anyone who doesn't open in the first week. I'd recommend you do that because chances are if they haven't opened any emails like in the first 7 days, like your welcome email, it probably just means they gave you a fake email. Okay, because if they wanted the freebie cheat sheet download thing, whatever they signed up for, and they didn't even open an email for a week, they probably just gave you a fake email that they don't even use, right? So just kick them off. Third is that list cleaner automation that I mentioned before. Remove anyone who doesn't open for a 60-day period. Move them over to inactive list where they only get that one email a week, right? So they're not dragging down your domain reputation. And then fourth thing, I recommend setting up an unsubscribe safety automation where if someone unsubscribes from one list, then they get removed from every list and removed from all automations as well. Because if they only get unsubscribed from one list, but then they're still receiving emails from this auto automation thing, then they may well go ahead and mark you as spam because again, they're like in their head, they're like, dude, I unsubscribed. Why are you still emailing me? And that's when you get spam complaints. And that's stuff that can really hurt your domain reputation, right? So we want to just avoid that as well. Cool. So that's it for this training and how to get out of spam. Congratulations, my friend. You are now a bona fide email deliverability expert and a postmaster. Add that to your resume. Use it to make yourself and your clients tons of money. And I will see you in the next module on automation in just a second.